Morning, fam. I wanted to get on here this weekend and talk to you guys a little bit about unchecked egos. And the reason I want to talk about this topic is I have been in a financial recovery period for over a decade now. I'm bouncing back from being a stay-at-home mom, not really having a lot of resources to my name during that process. I was a victim of identity theft, I was a victim of fraud, and when I went through family court proceedings, there were RICO crimes enacted against me and my children that disenfranchised me and my children. And what I want to highlight today, without naming this particular demon, is that the opposing counsel that was involved in the case has decided, in her infinite wisdom, to, after destroying my family and I'm sure several others, has decided to put a billboard of her face on the freeway. And unfortunately, I have to see her ugly face now every day on my way to work. And I wanted to talk about this from the perspective of this woman destroyed or helped to facilitate the destruction of my relationship between myself and my children. She aligned herself with someone who alienated me from my children. She slandered me. She engaged in defamation in court proceedings. She participated in what I can only describe as abusive legal process and fraud upon the court because of the data discrepancy with his information. She just facilitated RICO crimes, and I believe personally that she participated in them. And my specific issue with her having a billboard of her ugly face on the freeway now that I unfortunately have to look at on my way to work if I happen to glance in that direction, is how big does your ego have to be if you go around, you destroy families, you cause them such devastating financial destruction that they will potentially never recover. And then you have, I guess, unused income in such an excess that you're able to afford to put your ugly face on a billboard to feed your own ego, strictly to feed your own ego, because we all know that that's really the purpose of that. And I think about how much billboards cost. And I know that many years ago, it could exceed $10,000. So let's just say conservatively that it was between $10,000 and $20,000 for this billboard. That was a year of college tuition for one of those children who she helped to destroy through family court proceedings. All to put her ugly face on a billboard. Now, I understand that attorneys are in that position to make money. And I'm not saying that I have an issue or that I take issue with every attorney that has a billboard of themselves. I actually feel like it's reasonable in the scope of, let's say, personal injury law to have a billboard as an attorney. However, in the capacity of family court attorneys, I think that it's excessive. I think that it clearly indicates a huge unchecked ego. And I can just say that from my unfortunate forced interactions with her and her mannerisms and the way that she came across in proceedings as an extremely hostile, entitled, abusive type of person, I'm under the impression that she lacks the ability to introspect and acknowledge that putting her ugly face on a billboard could be construed by people that she's helped to destroy as the height of arrogance, the height of narcissism, and quite frankly, insulting to the survival of the people that she destroyed in her path of destruction that often relied on false fabricated evidence in order to secure victory. So I don't know what to say about it other than I'm not going to give her the publicity of saying her name, because I honestly don't even think she can quite stick to her name. And I say that because in the last 10 years, from what I understand, she's had 3 different last names. So, based upon that, I can only assume that there have been multiple unions in the last 10 years that have resulted in those name changes. And if that's the case, that to me indicates a lack of being able to keep promises. It also indicates to me that the institution of marriage is not something that she truly respects, because how could you if you are going through multiple commitments in like a 10-year span? And she can think or say whatever she wants to about me, but I've been celibate for 10 years while she's been clearly not. So you can interpret that any way you want. I mean, I've done the math on it, and the math on it that I've interpreted is that there's a lack of integrity there. And I find it almost comical that somebody of that caliber would try to weigh in on me as an individual. So all I can say is that sometimes God allows people to be raised up to a certain degree just so that their fall will be greater. And I think in the case of her and the people that she collaborated with to destroy my family and many others, I speculate that her fall will be catastrophic for her. And all I can say is that when that happens, it's completely deserved. And I'm sure that she will have the next decade that she deserves.